So this is how your patterns are going to look like after you have done the printing. Please note the printing of this particular pattern is slightly different from the previous ones. The top layer is the A series, then it's the B series and the C series. Just match the arrows together and apply your tapes. Once you have applied your tapes and prepared the pattern, identify the size that you want to work on. Mark that size on your pattern and also decide whether you want to work on your master pattern or a pattern with the seam allowance. In this pattern, I have given the main pattern as well as the seam allowance. So identify that and draw your line. I strongly recommend that use different color pens for different sizes so that you can use these patterns again and again for different sizes. Once you have identified your size and marked your lines with or without seam allowance, place your tracing paper and trace these lines on that for all the patterns. After all your patterns are traced, cut the patterns and place your fabric and the lining at the fold. Take the center front pattern and fold it in half and place it at the fold of your fabric. Place your pins and then place your rest of the patterns, your side patterns, your back patterns and the back strap. Cut your fabric now. Let's cut the collar now. Place 2 layers of your main fabric and the fusing paper and place your pattern. Pin it and cut it. Remove the pins now and place the fusing on the wrong side of your fabric. Remember, the shiny part is the sticky part. Hence, place it in a way that it's facing the fabric. Now press it nicely. Let's now take out the paper patterns and place the patterns separately, lining separate and the outer separate. Attach them together, assemble them together using pins. Let's now take it to the machine and start sewing wherever you have put your pins. Remember to lock your stitch when you start and lock the stitch when you stop. Once your sewing is done, give some cuts at the bust curve so that it's neat and smooth. Give a good pressing, opening up your seams. Do that for your lining as well as for your outer fabric. Once your ironing is done, place your lining fabric on top of your main fabric and sew all around it except for one side of your center back. If you wish to put a bust cup, then this is the right time to do it. You have to place your bust cup at the lining so that it's in between your outer and the lining fabric. Once all the pinning is done, let's take it to the machine and sew all around it except for one side of your center back. Remove all the pins now and give cuts at all around the seam allowance so that when you take it inside out, it folds better and neatly. Now very carefully turn the entire pattern inside out. If there is any sharp corner, use a sharp object to make the corners neat. Give it a nice ironing now, making sure that all the seams are nice and sharp. Let's now attach the collar. Place the pattern in a way that the right is facing the right and apply your pins. Let's now sew it on the machine. Sew it in a way that the lower curve of your collar is open. When you start sewing, leave half-inch seam allowance and lock your stitch. When you finish sewing, also leave half-inch seam allowance and lock your stitch. Cut the corners of the upper collar so that when you fold it inside out, it's nice and sharp. Give some notches, some cuts at the seam so that it folds much better. Push the collars out, use a sharp object to push it sharp. And now press it nicely. While you're pressing it, one side of your collar, fold it half-inch in and press it nicely. Now find the center of the collar and give a slight cut there. Also find the center of your center front and give a slight cut. Place the collar and the center front together from the side which is not folded. The seam which is not folded is the one which we are attaching with the main body. Similarly, attach your back strap to the center back of your collar and take it to the machine and sew it. Remove all your pins and fold the seam inside and bring the other side of your collar on top of it. Place the pins all around it, making it match neatly, and then sew it on the machine again. Your blouse is now almost ready. Let's now close the center back, the one side of your center back which was open. Let's fold it twice, half inch and half inch, and sew it on the machine. Your blouse is now ready. Apply some hooks at the collar and at the center back.